All right. Hello and welcome to Fight for Blight. Oh, yep, it went out again. Oh, Discord's fucking up on my end. Hopefully, we can power through that as best as normal. But, go ahead and... Oh, nope, it's just going to keep doing that to me. Alright, I'm just going to do this. And who would like to go first for their, how their week was?
I'll go. Shot dog. Everything was pretty good this week. We finally got our dishwasher and sink working.
Woo!
Woo!
Big win.
That's
Yeah.
dope.
My week was good. It went by way too fast due to the, Rolex and all
Puppy.
that. But yeah, it was a good week. Lots of work.
Oh, that was this last weekend? I thought it was coming up in a couple weeks.
Nope, it was yesterday. I think it ended today.
Well, seems that we, for whatever reason, the lights went out too. So I'm going to be working on that while we keep going through. But the lights aren't that big of a deal. We can deal without that. Adashi, how was your week?
It's pretty good. I shaved off my COVID beard this weekend, so I look like I'm 12 again instead of 30. So that's good. Yeah, and it's my birthday on Thursday, so if you just want to like have all your enemies like direct their attacks to other PCs, I mean that's a pretty good gift. I take like some magic weapons, something. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, pretty good week. Hopefully a good session and a good next week too.
Hopefully. I know my wife's birthday is on Thursday, so
What?
yeah, I won't be doing one of my games, or two of my games actually, upcoming for this weekend. So maybe I can apply making those monsters and everything stronger for your guys' stuff.
Okay. That seems fair. Yeah, so I'm a twin, so I actually have a brother. My twin brother's birthday is Thursday too, and then I know another set of twins that were born the same day. So I think it's just a popular birthday. I just know a lot of people that were born February 4th.
Yo, I
big day. It's a
totally
big day.
forgot that y'all are twins.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
And you should.
Shout out, Steven. Love you. That's all I got.
All right. And May, did you have anything else to add on for Creptilli and you?
Yeah, I mean, there's some like changes at work that I'm really excited about, and yeah, it's making my days like nicer. And I think potentially I could have a slight change in job, which would be good.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped.
Just Stalin? How was your week? Just Stalin's trying to figure out how to update his stuff. So what are you trying to exactly update? How you add your class features on your character beyond character sheet? When you go into like the edit levels, you should be able to edit it from there. I'll pull yours up. So you go into like the edit the character sheet, and on the class page there's a monistic tradition, and then you can choose the option from there. But then other than that, if you have any other questions, just let me know. But if you have been trying to talk, by the way, it's not coming through. All right, well, we'll move on. Trevor, Varric, how was your week?
It was alright. Prepping my house to sell it, and I got a hole in my roof, so that's pretty cool.
No, that's not good. You're not supposed to have holes in your roof. You know that, right?
Yeah, it adds character.
Gives it a little bit of pizzazz.
Yeah, it's rough. This house is old, so shit happens, I guess.
Here's what you do. It's not a hole in the roof. It's a sunroof. Or like one of those what are they called? Is it a sunroof? Yeah.
Skylight.
Skylight. It's a sunroof.
There we go.
Or something like that in a car. I don't know.
Yeah.
Drip spot.
It's a water collector.
Yeah, that's what it is.
All right. Well, then what I will do now is just open it up to the floor for each of you for the recap, and then we'll get into tonight's game. So who would like to take the lead on this one?
Oh, yeah.
We made it to Exarch Stronghold after defeating some orcs. Pretty good little battle.
Yes. They weren't orcs though. They were
Ogres?
Oh, yeah.
And only half bred at that, or partially bred. We were in a blizzard for like 2 days, I want to say.
Pretty sad.
It was your full day of travel and then most of the night. Yeah, good amount of time.
Had to share a tent with Faye. I think I blocked just stalling a little bit.
Maybe a little. Not too much though.
We saw a comet go over a mountain or something.
Oh yeah, and purple lightning.
Yes. So far, so good.
We
made
dropped
it
off.
to our destination.
Yep.
I
Yes.
think Exart had some goodies for us when we met him. I remember like a chest or something he had.
Yeah, somebody's got a box with something in it, or something in it for us.
And we also know the what's the word? The guys that jumped us on the road. We know there's a camp to the west with like 13 more of them, and apparently Exarch Stronghold has had some kind of excursions with them or something. So, but I don't think we got into any detail. They know they're out there. And I think there's something with the mountain. Like it's weird that the half ogres were this far, or this close to Exarch Stronghold. Like maybe it seemed like there was something going on at the Stokeland Mountains, was what Exarch implied.
Yes, and Lady Faye said something. It was connected with the visions, with Achilles' visions, the dragon, and the mountains, and starting at the town of North Point, I believe it was called.
Also, the stronghold's not in great shape at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of missing doors and holes in roofs and stuff.
Did we bring up that Cryptilli cockblocked just on last episode too? Or last session?
Yeah, that was.
That's pretty good. Okay. Just wanted to make sure we emphasize that.
We're all here, at least in part, for the sibling rivalry, I think.
I almost died again, but I didn't. That's about all I got.
Okay. Well, I gotta forget I don't have push to talk on, and it will mute my stream if I press that button. But all that was a pretty good recap. With having to spend nearly the whole day losing that day of travel, it did put each of you a little bit behind schedule in your original arrival time for Exarch Stronghold. But instead of waiting for another half day to make it there, you all pressed through from 6 to nearly 8 p.m. as the sun began to set over the Stokelet Mountains, where you were met outside of the stronghold by 4 guards who exchanged with some greetings and then were led to Exarch's home by Lady Faye. And as each of you approached, you got a good look of the house and then had a brief exchange with Exarch before he apologized for his rudeness and then asked each of you to come on inside, get warm by the fire, and hopefully accept the gift that he had for you, indicating the lockbox that was in his hands before inviting you in. But upon making it inside, you'll see that the first floor is got a few columns in the middle, which 4 that are set up exactly perfectly of what a room would be, but the pillars are just the corners of the walls, no walls, and it just is supporting the floor above. A staircase leading to the second story is off to the right, but the rest, the first floor, made of stone, not as the nice polished stone that you would have back in the castle at Blight, but it's not in nearly the poor conditions as the rest of the area was. Inside, you see a purple banner draped in the Blight family insignia with the white stag laid upon it, a desk, few bookshelves with some books upon them, a couple of vials that are sitting atop the fireplace, or a cauldron hangs burning over a low roaring flame. You can hear the bubbling, some liquids inside from the smell as each of you kind of are caught with this nice aroma as you enter. You would know that it, excuse me, to be some type of stew, porridge perhaps. Torches line the wall, and candles keep it fairly well lit in here, enough to at least read quite comfortably. Faye immediately goes over and to a desk and begins to place down her pack and then open it up and dig through it. Well, the gift. I hope that you all like it. Lord Varric, if you would do the honors. And as he kind of takes a step towards you, Varric, extends the lockbox, both hands on either side of it, and outstretches it, handing it towards you.
Thank you. Let's see what this is about.
Well, as you open it up, you will see that there are 6 what appear to be brooches laid upon a purple, and from the touch, you can tell it to be a type of silk pillow. Lined on the outside of it, a circle where the perimeter is lined with different types of gems. You can see rubies, emeralds, little tiny pieces, not worth much coin, but just more of like a decorative manner. And in the center, you will see a white stag, your family's insignia. Exarch will pipe up. It's just a gift for each of you. Well, making it to find your own way outside of your father's shadow. I hope you'll accept this and wear it proudly. That stag is made from some pearls that I had Weedix bring in on his last venture.
Wonderful craftsmanship. Thank you. And I take mine.
But while the meal's getting close to being finished, perhaps you all can tell me a bit more about these bandits that you had run in with. How many did you find along the road?
I believe it was 5 or 6.
Well, then they still got a bit over a dozen out there then, huh?
Most likely.
Our last report indicated that there were nearly 25, but there's been some skirmishes here and there. And as he kind of pats his sword that is sheathed along the right side of his waist. They get too close to the stronghold, well, they're going to get cut down quickly.
I wanted to ask you about the stronghold. It looks a little more disheveled than the last time we were here. Has something happened?
Yeah. The longer that this cold continues, the ice goes farther and farther out, making it a bit more difficult. We were able to provide a slightly strong economy in our... Oh, Bubba Snipes gifted Monkey a sub. Thanks, Bubba. But
Thank you.
the ice out kind of makes our ventures have to be a bit more dangerous in order to keep a good income coming in. Perhaps this is something that each of you could lend a hand with. Maybe break apart the ice, making it a bit easier for our villagers to at least make a living.
It could be something we look into.
Well, I'm unsure of how long each of you plan on staying here, but as you can see, there is more than one issue to be facing, and right now the attention, my attention is captivated to the west. The people can make it out on their own, find a way to fish through the ice, but those bandits will kill us all if I turn my back.
Yeah, Adashi jumps in and says, yes, I am of complete agreement, my lord. These bandits, they attempted a coup. They tried to kill Lord Vieric and his siblings. Like, this cannot stand. Should we ready a force to leave in the morning?
Calm down,
You have my
Adachi.
sword. He bows like 3 times.
It's quite all right. This kind of like gives like a shifty-eyed look, and just like the expression on his face is, you can tell, is pure confusion.
Adachi recognizes none of that and just continues to bow.
So anyway, these bandits, do you know if they're based anywhere or where they're attacking from?
Well, I would assume that they're still got their little encampment off to the west. As I said, it's near the Stokelet Mountain base, but only a couple days from the stronghold. That's why it's so easy for them to find their way here. It's slightly easy pickings if you're not paying attention.
Right.
Don't hog the lockbox. Please do pass it down. This is meant for all of you, even just Stalin here. I know that most of Zidane doesn't look at you as, well, a royal sibling, but to me, you're just as important as any of the others.
It's good to hear that. Can you guys hear me, by the way? I'm on my phone now.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, actually sounds good.
All right, cool. But yes, it's definitely good to hear that, especially after hearing a few doubts from my brothers. Not all of them, but a couple in particular.
Adachi speaks up and kind of looks at Virik and says, he's looked down on because his blood is partly filthy human, correct? And he kind of looks at Virik and winks.
Well, I do appreciate you all getting Lady Faye here safely. Perhaps when we journey off to North Point, we can get some assistance, we'll say, from the West Coast. It'd be quite beneficial to have a representative from Blight with us. And with that, he'll kind of make his way back to the kettle and the pot that's kind of given off that little bit of a boil. See him take a ladle, give it a bit of a stir, and see, fills up the ladle, picks it up. Yes, that's going to be a good eats. Are each of you hungry, or will you perhaps just be on your way as... Maybe stay with the locals and your civilians of your fellow countrymen. Might be good for each of you.
Yeah, I think it would be good to rest before we start back on our journey.
I could go for a good meal.
I could always eat.
Well,
Adachi bows and says, I shall eat after Lord Virik and my full-blood siblings have had their fill. And he does like 2 more bows.
May just glares at Adachi. Stop talking.
Yes, my lady, yes. My apologies. I don't know what I said, but my apologies.
well then. It does seem that each of you will be joining me for dinner. I'm sure that you won't want to go stay at the Icy Rapier Inn. Not for a meal. You'll not find any better cooking than in this town than me. Or better cook than me.
Sounds like a challenge.
Oh, are you talented in those ways, Justalin?
I've done a bit over the years. Encountered different cultures, so with that came a lot of different spices as well.
Oh, One day you will have to tell me a bit more about this, then. I would be quite interested to hear your stories, especially knowing that you've gone across the rest of those, well, less civilized countries of Zidane, or Elista.
Less civilized, but those guys have a lot of time on their hands, and sometimes that involves a whole lot of cooking.
Right. Well, then, as he claps his hands together, he'll go to a cupboard, open it up, grab a couple of bowls, set them down on a table, and then pull back a couple of chairs. You'll hear him kind of just get dragged across the wooden floor as it lets out that bit of a squeak, and then he'll say, "Please sit. I'll bring in some wine and ale if you wish as well. This will be a feast as far as I'm concerned. Whatever that you desire, just please don't hesitate to ask."
Yes. Could we have some red wine here?
Of course. And he will kind of like reach over to where like you see like this wine rack, a few woods just crossed over in like those X positions, like where it holds a few bottles. You see it's mostly empty, and from the top he'll just grab a bottle, unlabeled, just in a green little container, and then bring it over to the table, pull out the cork, and then go over and grab a couple goblets.
So it'll be a good evening indeed.
While we're sitting there, can Adachi examine the brooch he got?
Yes. You can, if
I
you're
did-
looking to like get like a bit more detail in it, you can give me like an investigation check. If you think that there's something else going on with it, obviously, then we'll go from there.
I'm more thinking Adachi wants to like detect magic on it just to make sure it's not like cursed. This isn't like another attempt on Lord Viric's life. So he's just gonna like focus on it. But I can roll an investigation if that's what you want me to roll.
Well, if you want to cast detect magic and you want to like do it as like a ritual, other than needing like the 10 minutes, and just wait and see.
Yeah, I think that's what Adachi will start with. And like, 'cause he's not gonna eat anyway, so he's gonna wait till Vieric has finished eating before he eats.
So as Adachi begins to like have his eyes glow a bit and murmuring some enchantments, you all will just kind of like see out of the corner of your eye Ezra just looking more and more confused. But if there's no stories or anything that you wish to exchange, we can get right down to the brass tacks and, well, see exactly what each of you are made of. As I said, the excuse me, the ice to the east is making it a bit difficult for us to be able to fish, but I do believe the bigger issue to be to the west, the bandit camp. Even if you have taken down a few of their numbers, I'm uncertain if my guards here will be able to hold them back if they have an organized attack.
How long do you think your encroaching ice problem will take to address?
Well, do any of you have any special capabilities that could help with this? The last time, well, that I saw each of you, you hadn't even begun your training to become knights or swordsmen or swordswomen at this point, as he kind of gives a excusing nod over to Creptilli and May.
I think you'll find we're quite a bit more skilled than we used to be.
Well, if you were to attempt to break it away, I imagine it taking quite a few days in order to get enough to where it would be beneficial for at least a bit of time. But if each of you had any other ideas, then perhaps we could shorten this.
I mean, I have a fairly unlimited ability to light fires. I've mostly used it when hunting alone. But I think if we could combine that with some other sort of magic, or maybe non magical means, it would be more effective than trying to use force.
Adashi's still focusing on the brooch, right?
Yeah, it'll just be about 5 minutes till you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
Well, I'm all ears. If there's any way that we could solve this, then I would owe your father and each of you quite a debt. But perhaps each of us could think a bit better on a full stomach. Please do eat before it gets cold.
Thank you. What about the bandits?
Well, of course, as I said, I do believe that to be a more pressing issue. If we could remove the distraction from our west side, then I could have the guards and myself be able to give a bit more of a hand with the ice on the east.
I see. Would you have any guards or troops to spare to dispatch the bandits?
Oh, I wouldn't want to see any of you go out on your own, but perhaps I could spare a couple to give some assistance. How many were you thinking?
I mean, I didn't really have a number in mind, but I think anything could help. We dispatched the ones that attacked us on the road fairly easily, but I think you can never be too cautious.
Our main concern would be their numbers.
They seemed fairly incompetent, though.
I would think if you gave us, if you could spare a healer and maybe 2 archers, this would be an easy task for us to accomplish.
Well, I could spare a few archers, but unfortunately, it's only me that has the capability of doing anything of that nature. Healing or any empowerment from the gods.
Oh, you have clerical abilities. I may need to have you take a look at a few of my wounds later. They're only minor at this point, but any help would help.
Yes, I would be more than happy to give any assistance.
Thank you.
But if you all wish to stay here, I have a couple of spare rooms each of you could split amongst and find a nice bed to lay your heads in. But if you all wish to try your luck down at the tavern, then, you know, might be able to find a free room as well. Maybe just cost a few coin. Depends on how the innkeep is feeling that day.
I'll take my chances here. Be all the way, so There's no need for a tavern.
Yes, thank you for your hospitality. I'm also like looking at Adashi to see if he's
You tell him, Bubba.
sort of
Thanks for again,
finished
man.
concentrating.
Appreciate it a lot. Well, as he kind of takes like the bowl, give it a nice slurp. Grabs the goblet, fills it up with a bit of wine, starts to take a few sips. So, if each of you are planning on going to take care of the camp, as I said, I could give a few archers, perhaps someone with a bit of experience, not so green around the collar, but they would be under your command, Varric, under your responsibility.
We can make do with that.
Well then. He'll scooch back the chair, go over towards the desk, and grab a rolled up piece of parchment. Do any of you have a map? I would assume that your father, or Leo at least, gave you one before departing.
We do have a map, but I don't know who has it.
I'll give you one guess.
Is it Vieric?
Yeah.
I would imagine.
I was gonna say a
God
Adachi, but
damn.
okay.
I was gonna say Maeve.
All of the items that were needed are pretty much that like aren't like I guess like in particular persons. The important stuff is being carried by Varric unless other dictated. So map, things of that nature. I'm assuming you guys are all splitting your coin, but if like there's like a banker in that aspect, then it's all under his control. Well, then if you could take this out or take out your map for me, Varric, I'll give a indication on where you can find their camp. Make it a bit easier.
Ah, here we go. Pulls out map.
Is there a specific route you think we should take?
Also, we should cross-check to see if it matches up with what we found.
So what I went ahead and did was added just like a little token on the map. If y'all can see that.
Yeah.
75 miles.
He gives it like points his finger down. It's somewhere in this location, and it starts to move it in a circle. It's just a couple days outside of the stronghold, but it does seem that they have a pretty good foothold there.
Sorry, am I still detecting magic?
What was that, bud?
Am I still detecting magic on the brooch?
Yes. You will have that completed now, and you do not detect any magic. When it's just conversation, it's gonna seem like it's taking a bit, but
No, that's fine. I just didn't want to talk until I was done. Can I roll an investigation check now that I've like looked at it for 10 minutes?
sure. But like I said, after the detect magic goes off, you do not get any magical aura from it, and taking a look at it, I mean, it's pretty much exactly what Exarch told you it is. A few gems giving it like that decorative material around the outside. Like the colors kind of just like alternating from like the ruby topaz kind of thing, like emerald, just moving around in like that circular pattern along the brim. And then the stag in the middle is pearl.
Got it. Okay. I think Adachi would look up and say, okay, so are you guys ready to start the plan?
You have a plan, Adachi?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I figured you were gonna tell us all the information you knew about the bandits, and we'd come up with some kind of plan on, where to get out there. So sorry, I've been focusing to make sure this amulet wasn't cursed from the bandits, of course. Can't be too safe.
Now I do have to ask, are you implying that you think that I would do such a thing, or actually indicating that the bandits would?
No, please forgive me, Lord Exar. No, I would never accuse you. I know these bandits are very crafty. You should have seen the tree they had in front of the road. So I have to, my job is to make sure that Lord Vieric is safe. And then he realizes that he didn't taste Lord Vieric's food before he ate it. And he's like, shoot. And so he like takes a bite of everything on Lord Vieric's plate really quickly, just like super uncouth, just like shoving it in his mouth. And then he like tells Lord Vieric like to wait a second and like see if anything happens.
Just stalling looks, embarrassed and disgusted.
Adachi, don't ever do that again.
I'm sorry, my lord. I have to make sure there's no poison. That's him talking with food in his mouth, of course. I'm sure you guys get that from my acting ability.
Now, just a thought exercise. If there was poison in the bowl, of course, Exarch, I know there's no poison in the bowl. But, Adachi, if there were poison in the bowl, and Vieric already ate it, and now you ate the poison as well, what exactly would be the point?
Well,
Adachi
go
freezes
on,
for a second.
answer.
Adachi freezes for a second and goes, he already had a bite. I was so focused. And then he just does like a million bows. And he's just like, I'm so sorry, Lord Vieric. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I will do better next time. You deserve a thoughtful King's Guard. I apologize. He just keeps bowing over and over again until Vieric says something.
How far is Adachi from me?
So what I will do is just roll this, and with it being a fairly small table, they're just on the other side, a little over an arm's reach away. Like you could reach across the table and touch them, but
yeah, just gonna give him a nice little smack.
Nice little smack.
Adachi is literally like the worst dinner guest you could ever have.
I personally am starting to gather that. Well, I can have your I guess a good way to put it would be your archers to command first thing in the morning, if that's what you all wish. But Adachi, other than knowing that their numbers were, well, in the 20s from my last report, and if you all taken down, you said 5 or 6, well, then that would leave just under.
Could your archers perhaps spare a few arrows for me and my brother as well?
Of course.
Wonderful.
I'll have them both bring an extra quiver.
Excuse me, if I may speak, and then he kind of looks at Lord Vieric just to see if Vieric will let him like throw an idea out there.
I'm gonna roll my eyes and say, "Go ahead, Adachi."
Thank you, my lord. Thank you. And Adachi says, I could cast if we could, sneak upon their encampment. Perhaps we could either capture a few of their guards and impersonate them. I could also cast a fog cloud that would blind them and give us some cover. and maybe we just, if we could create some kind of fire in their camp, we could pick them off with our archers as they flee into the surrounding area. Just an idea. I've been contemplating this since my owl told me about the camp, and then he goes hoo 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 hoo, and like an owl flies into the room, and like lands probably on the table, like knocks some plates over, probably knocks a glass of wine over, and then Adachi like does a 30-second like talking an owl, hoo, 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 ah! In front of everyone. Literally the weirdest guy they probably
How
ever
do
met.
you all deal with this?
Patiently.
I'm all for guerrilla tactics. Nadachi's plan seems pretty thought out.
I think parts of it are strong. So I do think it would benefit us to maybe investigate the situation before we attack. Just Stalin, I think that you and I perhaps could do that by getting up pretty close. I know I can get very close. I'm used to this environment without being noticed.
I'm definitely willing to give it a go. Put my stealth to use.
Adachi also has that owl that could at least give us numbers and positions of where they are, so we could easily come up with a good plan.
As well as communicate.
My greatest
Adachi
concern
goes, hoo, hoo.
is
So,
having
yes, I'm sorry.
them scatter, where we know they're pretty much going to be condensed at the moment. We wouldn't want to have to deal with splinter groups for a while. I'd rather get them in one fell swoop.
Agreed. I could definitely be more effective if they were together.
And with our technically fewer numbers, well, not technically, but anyway, I have a feeling that most of, if not all of them, will stay and fight if we just go after them. But I am up for suggestions.
Well, Crix, I do think that Adachi has at least touched on a good plan. I do believe if their numbers outweigh yours 2-1, perhaps even 3-1, even with the extra help, well, then it's best to surprise your enemies in those circumstances. Launch the attack before they know exactly what is going on and where it is coming from. Perhaps maybe moving in very early or as late as possible in the night when you know it to be about time for those humans to be laying down their heads.
Yeah, that'd be very wise. Well, if we attack at night tomorrow, it seems like we could have all of tomorrow to plan. Maybe we should all go get some rest and stop imposing on the Exarch here.
And just to be clear, it's a 2 days journey there and back.
2
2 days
there
both
and
ways?
then 2 back. Hopefully, if the weather holds.
Now, could Lord Exarch provide us with enough food for the journey, or just something to supplement it?
Perhaps I could come up with a few rations if any of you need any.
Okay.
Should be fairly easy to hunt. Keep us
I'd
fed.
like to think we can do that as well.
well, I will secure your extra guards. Make sure that they have a few extra arrows for Lord Varric and Lady May. And also provide a few extra rations. But perhaps it's enough talk of business. If we plan to leave a little later in the morning, we could enjoy ourselves for the evening. Have a few more drinks and, well, you can tell me how each of your lives have been. It's been almost 100 years since I've seen all of you together.
That seems like a fine idea to me. I guess the wine is hitting me a little.
Cheers to our host.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And he'll say, cheers to the royal family and King Harold.
Adachi attempts to drink the first sip of every glass of wine that Lord Varric tries to drink.
Adachi, what'd I just say?
I'm sorry, my lord. This is my responsibility. I must do this for your safety.
Sit down. Get out of my face.
Yes, my lord. Yes, I apologize. But he's still gonna try to like sneak a slip every once in a while.
Okay, well, with the bit of confrontation that this is causing, what I will say is, Adachi, with the warnings that you've gotten from Lord Varric, can you go ahead and give me a sleight of hand check?
Oh, okay. Sure, why not?
Okay, well, since that doesn't even beat his passive, every time, Varric, as you get a new cup of wine, maybe a little bit more bite to eat, or anything of that manner, anything that you would consume, as like basically Adachi is right there trying to sneak a snip, sneak a sip and grab a bite. You catch it every single time that he is attempting to do so. Are you going to allow it, or are you going to hit him with the rolled up newspaper?
I'm gonna smack him with the back of my hand.
Oh. Lord Varric, it's for your own safety. I promise. It's for your own good.
I didn't ask for it. Cut it out.
I guess after like I don't know the sixth time Adachi's caught, he'll kind of begrudgingly give in, and just kind of like he's just watching. So instead of if he can't taste any of the food, he's just gonna like watch what if a server brings in food, or someone pours in wine. He's just like watching it like a hawk the whole time, like making sure like he just doesn't take his eyes off Varric's food.
You'll notice that there are no servers. The Exarch
Okay.
is pretty much grabbing and supplying everything that you guys asked for. Like when the bottle of wine's empty, he'll grab another. If there's any ale, he'll make sure to, go fill a tankard and bring it to each of you. But Exarch will just ask this to you, Adachi, as he notices you doing this. And, I mean, with that roll, practically everybody does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Exarch will say, I do understand your ambition in wanting to make sure that Lord Varric is safe from any sort of poison, but I must ask, why do you find it necessary to keep testing the same bottle of wine?
And so like Adachi takes a second and like he didn't think about that. Like,
I mean, you're more than welcome to have a goblet of your own, young one. There's
so
no
he just
nothing
kind
to
of does
worry
like
there.
a long awkward bow and goes, "My lord," and just slowly walks back to his seat and just doesn't say anything. And he's like looking down the rest of the dinner.
I mean, I must ask, like, someone else had to be wondering the same thing, right?
It's just kind of how he is.
if there's nothing else that anyone would kind of like to RP, each of you can just, have like a nice relaxing night, exchanging some stories here and there before retiring to the rooms. Again, only a couple will be provided, so there will be a bit of sharing going on with the rooms, to say the least.
Yeah, I wanted to wait until it looked like Lord Exarch was a little tipsy, and I would drink with him, and then I'd ask him about the purple light that he saw over at the Stokeland Mountains.
Okay.
If he had any insight to what might be going on there.
Well, even though he is a bit of like a hefty fellow, he does consume his alcohol quite quickly, and it will not take very long, just a couple of hours into the exchange, when it's getting fairly late, nearing just like about 10 p.m. at night. You'll start to see that glazed look come over his eyes, a little bit of swaying where he was standing firm before when first entering, and kind of just that slow rocking back and forth, the slurring of the words here and there. And since you're going to be drinking with him, can you also give me a Constitution saving throw?
Oh, nice.
Nice, you're good. You definitely, like, feel it, but it's like that light buzz feeling. It's nothing major.
Oh, I'm like Beyonce. I've been drinking. I've been drinking.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I don't know if you want to have this conversation a bit more in private, Creptilly. So what I will do is just ask what the rest of you would like to complete within that 2-hour time frame. If you're just going to retire to the room, what's your call?
I wanted to get healed up by Exarch.
Maybe not when he's drunk.
I'm only missing 2 HP. He don't need to do a good job.
Oh, fair enough.
I would like to have what's it called? Have some words with Adachi.
Okay, good, because Adachi actually wants to have words with you.
Perfect.
Okay.
But I will. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just so you remember, Crix, since you all have enough EXP to level, after tonight's rest, everyone will have everything fully recharged. Level is equal to a long rest.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Then
Just-
I don't need him.
If you want him to do it, that's totally fine. If you want the NPCs to spell some, use some spell slots or whatever, that's cool. But I was just letting you know for a reminder.
No, that works out. I didn't even think about getting healed much until he said he was a cleric. So yeah, I'll just wait till morning.
Just by the way, he never said that he was a cleric.
I'm assuming. I know.
Okay, so before we get to anything else, Adachi, what were you saying there, bud?
Adachi did want to talk to May, but I think he's starting the night. So whenever dinner's done, he probably found a corner of the room where he could see Vieric, and then just kept drinking because he was kind of bummed that he failed so miserably at his guard duty. So he's just getting more and more inebriated. And Vieric might have left by this point, but he's kind of sitting there. He does want to talk to May, but I don't think he's realized that she wants to talk to him. So I don't know if May wants to approach Adachi, but if she doesn't, Adachi will approach her a little more brave because he's been drinking.
All right, well, we'll see.
Creep Beyonce.
Just Stalin and Varric, did you two have anything?
Yes, briefly. So before turning it in for the night, just Stalin gets one more goblet of wine and he goes by the fireplace to meditate on things. He begins to feel his buzz and to wonder how he can utilize that in a combative way to his advantage.
Oh.
He
Amazing.
can feel something within himself, and it feels a bit different now. Something he didn't feel before with his buzz. Perhaps he can use it soon.
I'm starting to think that I know what tradition you went.
Yeah. With the drunken monk.
Yeah, I assumed that's what you were going with the whole beginning, since you've always been drinking. But
Right. Funny,
It's-
I'm not drinking right now, but yeah, it is what it is. Just sipping tea.
gotcha. All right.
Maybe next week.
So Varric.
So I'm gonna walk over to talk to Adachi and sit down with him real quick.
Okay, so let's do this in order from when it was called. Since Justalin is just meditating, after the serious conversation like breaks down and becomes like a bit more lighthearted, Justalin grabs himself a drink, goes and sits in front of the fire. And Justalin, you can feel the warmth of the fire just beginning to like hit you, like just slightly. It's not a big flame. It's still, quite small, just giving that pot that's hanging above it that little boil, keeping everything warm. And as it does, you close your eyes. You see the fire almost like when it flickers, make itself into fist. And as it like just batters and hits, you get this envision of like being able to flow quite smoothly, especially when drinking and using we'll call it drunken technique, and just feel inspired after your time of meditating. It will take a bit of time, but while you're sitting there, Kreptili, you have noticed that Exarch has definitely started to get that glazed look. He's starting to look a bit inebriated, and you wish to talk to him about the light.
Yes. You mentioned that you saw a purple light over at the Stokeland Mountains when we arrived. I was wondering what you might have thought was going on there.
Quite unsure. I'm quite unsure. I would assume that it would be a sign, but when followed by the lightning, I'm afraid if it was a sign, it's not a good one.
I feared as much. Though I'm still a young cleric, Deanna did bless me with a little vision of something brewing over in the mountains.
In the mountains, you say?
Yes, I was praying and I saw a purple light and a dragon. And I wasn't sure what it meant. And then I seen that and I feared it couldn't be good.
A dragon. Well, do you know what color you saw of it? Was it white? Was it psyllium?
It was indeed.
And he'll kind of give like a bit of a chuckle, and you'll see him smile, and like a little sense of relief kind of comes across his face. Child, come here. As he kind of stands up, puts his arm around you, and leads you to the window, pulls back the curtain, and you can see off to the west the Stokeland Mountains in pretty decent view. And while it would be fairly difficult to see it, especially at night, there is this faint purple hue. And from the amount that it is giving off, it gives the Stokeland Mountains just like a bit of a silhouette, outlining them just a bit, almost appearing as if there is a light source well off in the distance. You see, I came here the night after, from the light you can see that it's not from the mountains. I do believe that it to be connected with Cilium in some way, but Cilium resides off the island, off the west of North Point. Well, that's one of the reasons why me and Faye and a few of the guards are going to be making our way there in due time.
You say Cillian resides in North Point, just over the mountains?
Yes, just past North Point, and he will... Well, I will do this for you. So this island right here is where Cilium is believed to be where he resides. Being quite unsure of the land and everything, you just know that the island is just northwest from North Point. And then Exarch will continue. That's one of the many reasons we'll be making our way there. It does seem that North Point has had a bit of issues with Cilium lately, and perhaps we could provide some assistance, some guidance. At least that's what I hope to be able to accomplish.
I see. Does bring me a little bit of relief knowing that he's been in that island for so long. And I can't help but think he could be in the mountains. I will have to pray on this a bit more.
Well, Cilium's in the mountains then. That's going to make life quite a bit more difficult for all of us here. Even for you all back at home in Blight. I hope that is not the case. Release the curtains. Then, giving you, that little pat on the shoulder, Creptilli. Say, excuse me, Lady Creptilli. I think the room is beginning to spin a bit for me.
Indeed.
And Crix, you said that you were good too from what we had discussed. So then we will go to Adachi and Varric as May is kind of looking at the conversation and a angle to approach it.
I was actually gonna say that during that time I was listening to Creeptilly and Exarch kind of, but mostly I was glaring at Varric, and Varric and I were having this whole silent exchange across the table where May's just been glaring at him and then looking at Adachi and looking back at him.
Uh-oh.
Go talk to him.
Talk to him for what? To tell him that he's weak?
Did you say
Damn,
that
shit
out
just
loud?
got real.
No, Varric.
What do you want from me, May?
Never mind. I get up and I go back to Adachi.
As Adachi sees May approach, he telepathically summons little May to take his drink away and try to hide the evidence that he's been drinking. And I imagine little May flies off with this drink, but is also kind of stumbling because it's she's it's part of him too. I don't know, for flavor, so she's kind of stumbling, flying
When
away.
little May grabs the tankard May, you see it weighing little May down, and it's spilling, splashing from the tankard, battering it against the floor, and eventually making its way to the door, and then just lands, and sits upon the tankard, and you can see the owl just swaying.
Yes. And Adachi tries to pretend like that didn't happen. Like he's just like dusting himself off, trying to look presentable.
Hey, brother.
Lady May, what may I do for you?
Oh, nothing. You know, it's probably better if we talk about it in the morning, but
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm happy to be your assistant. Be of any assistance. I think Lord Vieric is still doing well, as long as I can see him. I'm happy to keep you company.
well, I think that you and Vic are going to have to figure out an arrangement that works for you. But in the future, you can't just go around accusing anybody of poisoning our food or cursing gifts that they give to us. You could get us in trouble.
Oh, is that why you were glaring at me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, that and the way that you refer to our brother as a half blood. That doesn't sit well with me.
Well, I'm sorry, lady May. I'm confused. Vieric told me that he is beneath us. Did I misunderstand something?
So I walk over and interrupt and say, Adachi, I need to talk to you. May, you can have him later.
That's great. I think that's a good idea. Good night.
Please excuse me, Lady May. I apologize. And then I guess Adachi goes wherever Vieric goes. I don't know.
So at this point, I'll say that the only private area seems to be upstairs, with everyone still remaining downstairs.
That works. So we go upstairs and I sit down with Adachi.
Maybe me to it, but you can go in the opposite room of her. Thanks, May. You spoiled my plans.
Well, wherever is private, and I sit down with Adachi. So Adachi, the stalling thing, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You just can't say certain things in front of him.
Does he not know that he's half human? I thought it was obvious.
Part of him being half human means he's sensitive. You have to play to that side of him as well.
Oh, so both his blood and his emotional state is weak. I understand now. I apologize, my lord.
It's okay. And this whole trying my food before I eat it, you gotta stop.
Oh, is that not what a king's guard should do, my lord? I'm just trying my best. I'm sorry. I believe I failed you again. I'm so sorry. He does 3 more bows, but they're kind of he's almost falling over because he's doing them so fast.
Stop it, Adachi. I understand you're doing your job, but as the heir, the next in line, I'm perfectly fine on my own.
Oh, yes, Lord Vieric. It's just the prophecy that I know I've told you about so many times of where you bring prosperity and life to Blight, and I just want to see that come to fruition, and I'm just
Adachi.
I just want to do my best.
Stop talking.
Yes, my lord. Yes.
It'll be fine.
Yes. Sahena's will be done. Yes, my lord. I am but your humble sword, here to do your bidding. And he just bows 6 more times.
Adachi, cut it out.
I'm sorry. What? Is something not working for you, Lord Vieric?
I roll my eyes and just walk away.
Adachi's still puzzling because he knows May said that something wasn't working. So he's like, what could be wrong? I'm doing everything right. So Adachi will take that as I guess I need to do better, and is going to I guess go to. Did Vieric go to his bed? Did you go to sleep or go downstairs?
I think he went to bed.
Okay. Yeah, Adachi would make sure that he's in the room with Vieric, and will like watch him sleep until he falls asleep. Because he thinks he has to like do extra good now at his guard duties because he upset Vieric for some reason.
Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add before we move on? Okay. So, after your bit of conversations and your slight dinner party, each of you make your way to the rooms, finding a place to lay your head and getting your rest for the evening. With most of you being able to trance, pretty much the only one that we really have to worry about is just Stalin. But as we near 6:30 in the morning, you'll begin to hear a bit of noise coming from downstairs, footsteps making their way across the floor, and you hear a door open, then hurried footsteps following behind, then the door shut. And you can hear just like a bit of what sounds like just a very, very faint whisper, hearing their voices kind of like just barely pierce the windows and into your rooms. While you're unsure of what is being said, you do recognize the voice to be Faye and Exarch. So at this point, as we move on to the morning of March 27th, each of you will have your basically your experience kick in for that manner, but I wanted to give it to you before the rest, obviously, but since we could come in and have our sheets prepared. But this will now officially fully move everyone to level 3, and will also complete a long rest for each of you. So if there's any spells that we're missing, hit dice, things of that manner, everything is full. You can actually just click the long rest button on your D&D Beyond sheets and be good to go. So as we move on, if there are any questions, please just let me know, and I'll try to help the best that I can. And with Exarch and Faye leaving the area, it just leaves each of you in the manor with, I guess, either some planning to go forth or just waiting till your supplies and people return. I'll take the silence as everyone's good, just waiting for the returning. So as each of you wake up in the morning, beginning your morning routines, bits of prayer, meditation, and just putting on your armor with the plan on heading towards the bandit camp for the day of travel and any unexpected things you may find along the way. About an hour goes by before you'll hear a couple of steps making, like footsteps making their way up the stairs that lead to the front door. And as it opens, you will see two male elves, very young looking in their appearance, as you kind of would imagine, and judging their age to be approximately in the hundreds, low hundreds, maybe 110 to 120. You see, both of them have short orange, light orange hair and green eyes, and they are wearing chainmail, have bows. You see swords sheathed at their sides, and they have two quivers And as both of them make their way in, following Exarch and Faye, they both will take a knee and present the quivers to May and Varric. In unison, they both say, "These are for you. I hope that your arrows fly true and find their targets."
Thank you. Please, stand up. We're to go on this journey together.
Whatever you need
can
us
have-
to do, Lord Varric, we'll follow your order.
You can have some of my arrows, May. You'll need them.
May just like rolls her eyes and like takes her quiver and walks away.
Adachi gets a little jealous because now there's like 2 other people reporting to Vivek. So he makes sure he jumps in and like bows as well and says, "I am also at your service, Lord Vivek, as always."
Adachi, we just talked about this.
My lord, yeah, apologies. And he bows like 6 more times and still doesn't understand.
So, shall we get this show on the road?
Yes, I think that'd be wise. The quicker that you all head out, the faster that we can find a conclusion to this issue.
Should we travel in our usual formation? Myself and someone else out front, trying to scout and not be noticed.
I'll go out front with you. It's only right.
I'll be
Okay,
the
cool.
leader of the pack behind.
I'll be in the middle somewhere.
I guess Adachi would send Little May with Vivek and May, and he would stay in the middle with the rest of the group.
Yeah. I'd like to add, as we travel, I'll always try to.
You're really low. I can't hear you, bud.
I just wanted to add that if we could stay within like 20 feet of each other, like whoever's in the front, 20 feet from whoever's behind them.
Okay. So, keeping roughly the same order that you had before from making your way down, knowing the location on the map as you all make your way out of like the gate area, just, well, I'll say that with quotation marks, since there is no gate. It's just basically a walled area with like an open part for the trail and the road. Each of you make your way out of Exarch's stronghold and make your way towards the bandit camp. One of the guards will pipe up and say, I'm sure that we're just making a straight ahead path and not faltering. Making our way there as quickly as possible, correct, royal family?
I imagine that's the plan.
Unless you have another suggestion.
He'll just shake his head no. Just wanted to be sure of the plan, so I keep an eye out accordingly. And as each of you make your way out, you feel the wind kind of whipping, that cool air just very slightly piercing your skins, just feeling that coolness kind of like brush on each of your faces. You begin heading west out of Exarch's stronghold. Going off the path, you find the snow to be fairly deep in some places. A little deeper in some than others, of course. You know, a few steps you might find yourself about halfway up your calf, and then other times trudging through nearly waist deep of snow before it kind of valleys back up and you find it to be, just about like a boot's worth. At this point, with going off the beaten path, I normally have the heir to the throne roll this, but if you guys want to change it up, like, swap it every day kind of thing, or whenever I call for it, swap it, then we can go from there. But however you guys would like to do it, I need somebody, just one person, to roll me 3d6. And Creptilli, I sent you a message on Discord. Can you GM roll me a d100? So what I will say with both of those requests, if you guys would like to take a minute to talk it out to see who's going to roll the 3d6, that's perfectly fine. But we'll go ahead and just take our 5-minute break here, and we'll be back just momentarily. So, see everybody shortly. Thank you again for the gifted sub, and everyone checking out tonight. If you haven't already, drop a follow for some more D&D content. We'll be back in about 5-10 minutes at most. See you all shortly. All right. So we're back. And as each of you set out, the question still remains. Which one of you will roll me the 3d6?
Vyric's got it.
Fine with whoever.
All right, if everybody's good with it, I'm about to roll it. So if you're not, let me know now.
Go for it.
That was not great.
Yeah, sorry.
You wanted to roll low, I'm sure. That's what we're looking for, right?
I'll try my best, I promise.
Will each of you give me a perception check?
Can I do my perception check with my owl?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Looks like Crix is the winner.
So, yeah, we have 13.
So, just about the time where you hear the owl give off a bit of a, like a little bit of a hoot, Crix, you'll notice two shadowy figures beginning to make their way from the trees towards you. When they break from the shadows, you can see what you would know to be like white panthers, snow leopards in a sense. Both of them walking side by side, intertwining their tails here and there. And then just Stalin, you'll be able to like see it once it gets like a tad bit closer, more from out of the shadows. And other than that, the rest of you are oblivious.
We've got company, guys.
The guards will begin to knock an arrow. Shall we try to shoot to scare them away? Or perhaps strike them and get a bit of wounds running through their veins?
What is it? That
No. Just wait.
Relaxes the pullback.
What do you see, brother?
There's two animals ahead of us.
I walk forward with Vieric.
And so we walk towards them.
I draw my short sword, just in case.
Okay, okay. As both of you begin to make your approach, the rest of you, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Stand my ground and observe.
knock my crossbow.
I'm gonna ready myself in case combat erupts, but I'm gonna let them take the lead.
Okay, so
Dashi will message Lord Vieric and just say, Lord Vieric, do you need my assistance?
No, Adachi. Just wait.
Yes, my lord.
the rest of you just staying in a readied position, Cryptilli as well?
How far are the
Microphone. It's your
how
buddy.
far are the how far are the
Panthers?
So from like a quick estimate, you would assume roughly 80 foot to 100 foot away.
I look back and I say, nobody shoot, just wait, and let me and May take care of this.
So how are you two approaching?
So I lift my bow just in case and walk slowly towards them.
Yeah, and I have both of my short swords out, and I'm walking slowly next to Varric, and I say, "Can you see what it is, brother?"
So can I roll a perception check or something
Yes, what are you looking for?
to see if I can see what they are?
Sure. Like you don't really have to roll a perception check for that. It's already been pointed out. And from making your way a bit closer, they appear to be white panthers. Some type of cat, but while it being a bit odd in color, it definitely makes sense for it to adapt it to its environment over the years. And you can see just little bits of spots, little rings here and there, just dark fur markings.
Are they walking towards us still?
Yes, they are.
So I put my bow down and look at May.
They don't seem to mean us any harm.
Roll me an animal handling check before you make that assumption.
Oops, I thought you meant me. Sorry.
No, for both of you, for sure. Okay, yes, you're right, mate. They don't seem to have any aggressive tendencies to them. The ears are still forward. In fact, both of you pick up a just more of like a curious look about them, tilting their heads kind of side, but neither of them breaking eye contact with you at this point now that they're within 60 foot of range. One looking directly towards you, May. The other looking directly towards you, Varric. As you kind of like move off to the side, its head, eyes locked with yours will just follow just slightly and kind of mimic your movement.
So I walk a little further, then I kneel, stare it in the eyes, and reach my hand out towards it.
Yeah, I walk a little further to the left and I kneel as well.
Both of them kind of like nuzzle down into the snow where their eyes are just peering over the bank. And in a flash, the snow just whips up as you see them both just jolt heading towards you. The rest of you begin seeing these creatures just battering through the snow with very limited issue, where it's caused each of you a little bit of problems from time to time as you're just slowly making your way across this wasteland here. And they're essentially appear to be flying across the snow in comparison from what each of you are making your way. Is there anything that each of you would like to do at this point?
Damn. So can I jump in the way of that?
Go ahead and make me a dexterity saving throw.
Okay, give me a second. I gotta find it.
Y'all are nuts.
A young reptilian, no!
There it is.
So what I'll do is apply a bit of cover to it as well. And as like you kind of jump, the arrow just goes right over your shoulder. You can hear it just right past your ear. But the bolt finds no purchase as it just shoots into the snow.
So I look back and I yell, I told you guys not to fire and let us take care of it.
At this point, both of the creatures are upon you. They rear up. You see their claws moving down towards each of you. And as almost like a single motion as they jump, Varric, since you're on the ground after like diving, the snow kind of like all over you on your face and in your hair, this cat will just basically land right on top of you, pushing you into the snow a bit more as you let out a little release of air as it lands on your gut. And May, the other, will put its front paws just draped over your shoulders and have its other claws like perched on your hips, giving it a bit of weight bearing. The rest of you practically see these creatures what appear to almost maw your older brother and sister, and just with almost within a blink of an eye, you see there to be a bit of a caring nature, perhaps a connection between the two.
I was about to knock another bow.
It's just like Tiger Soul said. And I'm like scratching the one's head.
I think at this point Adachi would have ran because he was afraid that Varric was going to be attacked, and May to some degree, but he would have ran to get closer.
Definitely would be closer as well.
The guards will follow suit, but both with dumbfounded looks upon their face.
Varric, are you alright?
I'm perfectly fine, May. Looks like we found friends, though.
Yeah. I mean, Tiger Soul mentioned it to me once long ago when we were children, but I never expected to have a panther.
What did you expect? It's just so cute.
I'm like taking the panther off and just trying to like get a good look at it. Let's have a look at you.
So what I will do is, they both look fairly identical. I've added their sheets to your journals. Panther, and then I just called the other one Snow Leopard, just to make sure I didn't like overshare them, kind of thing. But the rest of you will see something along this nature that was making their way towards your brother and sister.
I turn around and I say, "It's all right."
Yeah, Adachi's like, "What, Varric, Lady May? Are you all right? What are these creatures? What?" And then he's like, kind of like writing a spell to like shoot a firebolt or something at him. If one of you guys say you're in trouble.
Adachi, put it down.
Yeah, I would not fire without your command, my lord. But are you unhurt? Are you safe?
We're perfectly fine.
All right. Do you know these creatures? I'm confused, my lord.
Come closer and take a look at them.
Adachi approaches very slowly.
Mine
Give
growls
me
at
an animal
Adachi.
handling check.
Oh no. Do I have to, my lord? It's a 3.
So as you make your way closer, you'll see the hair just stand up on this panther's back, and as it looks at you, it'll start to bare its fangs and let out a hiss as you just hear it backing up a bit, kind of arching its back while it's still standing directly over Varric.
Adachi jumps back and probably falls in the snow. It's like, oh, savage beast.
I think you have some competition, Adachi.
I grab his face and stare at his eyes to comfort it.
You just feel
My
its
lord.
like sandpaper tongue like run across your face, Varric.
My lord, this animal seems savage. I don't know if that's wise.
Adachi, it belongs to me.
Correct. And take a look at Maeve's.
And go ahead and give me an animal handling check as well.
Okay.
Just
Nice.
like rubs its head against you as you begin to approach, letting out a bit of a purr. And its eyes close as it kind of just like tilts its head, enjoying the scratches.
Yes, I will scritch it behind the ears and everything.
Yeah, May's like still kneeling, kind of like petting it behind the head and the back.
Wow, it almost
So I
seems like
wanna
they
walk
match
up-
their personalities.
Right.
I look at just Stalin and Creep Tilly and say, "Don't be shy. Step up."
Yeah, I'll walk up to Lord Varric and the Panther. So I guess I'll do my check as well.
Okay. The guards will follow slowly behind. You'll see them all kind of like trembling. Just like a bit. Like, they're definitely not used to dealing with this sort of thing. And Cryptilli, if you would like to interact with them as well, then an animal handling check, and then we're good.
Yep, I'm just gonna walk closer to both of them, staying about 10 feet away from
either animal. Tell them to know their place.
So it'll be a bit more like timid towards you, just Stalin. Still standoffish. It won't give you like a hiss, but it'll definitely like arc its back with the ears kind of just like tilting back. And then Cryptilli, I'm
keep
not
my
sure which
distance.
one you're dealing with, but you're fine.
Yeah, I said I'm just gonna glare at both of the animals, not getting too close to either one. Place.
May just glares back over her shoulder at Cryptilli.
I look at Creep Tilly and say, "You have nothing to fear, sister."
And I look at mine and I whisper, "Your place is with me, isn't it?"
It just looks at you, not responding. You definitely feel a connection. Both the guards are, while a little timid to deal with them, they both deal with them fairly well. One even able to pet and kind of scratch as Crix was. The other dealing with roughly the same as just Stalin. Does this sort of thing happen to you all the time?
No, it's never happened to any of us before.
Well, that is quite fascinating. But we must be getting a move on, lords and ladies. We must make good time before the night falls. And I'm not sure if you're ready to, well, fend for such a creature, but perhaps that may take more time.
No, we'll be fine.
Yes.
these two will befriend anything with 4 legs. And I'll continue to start walking towards our destination.
I whisper to mine, "If you eat any of them, eat that one."
You can PM me who you point to if you don't want to try to like point it out. But what I will say is, if you're trying to hide it from anybody, give me a sleight of hand check.
All right.
Okay, well, I mean, that beats everybody's passive, so if you want to try to spot it, I'll need a perception check. Not from you, Varric. You know that you're doing it.
Oh, my bad.
But in comparison, you didn't even see yourself do it. Well, it's definitely well hidden from the, pretty much most that are trying to peer at this. But if my assumption is correct, if you point to who I believe you're pointing to, as you point, it's just mainly hidden behind your new friend's head. But what I will do is move you all to there. The abundance of tree line just off in the distance. You can see it as you kind of walk over a hill, and the snow here being roughly calf deep, about halfway up your calves. Some a little bit higher and some a little bit lower, obviously from the difference of height. But as each of you are atop this hill, you will see the sun beginning to make its way down and hiding itself behind the Stokeland Mountains. And knowing that you will need to begin to set up camp, you find yourselves a little bit more out in the open. Not very many trees around this area to block any of the wind or even make a like a bonfire style of what you all were able to in your previous camp. So what I will ask is just for everyone's task yet again as you begin to set up your camp. And if there's any instructions that you'd like to give the guards as well, feel free.
Well, I think I and my new friend will go hunt.
See, I've been replaced.
And I look down at the leopard and I say, we'll see if we can't figure out your name. I won't go far.
You don't want it to come with you?
Oh, yes. Yes. I meant
Okay.
to my siblings, to the humans.
I was
we
gonna be
won't-
like, sad kitty.
No, we're gonna go hunt and we're gonna go bond the only way May knows how, which is silently in the forest.
Are you gonna go as well, Varric?
I will. I'll accompany my sister and her cat.
And the rest of you?
I think Adachi will try to help set up the tent.
Yeah, I'll be focused on camp work, setting up the tent, getting a campfire going, those kinds
Tin
of
and
things.
wood. Mm-hmm.
Well, what I will say, as May and Varric both take off with their new companions, you'll see the guards both a bit hesitant, looking at Varric and then like back towards what they would know like duties to be completed, but just looking for direction and order to follow. And they both look kind of lost and longingly at like the four of you as May and the others have moved away.
If I notice that the guards are looking towards Varric for direction, I'll simply task them to help set up camp.
Okay.
and I'll ask them what they brought, like if they brought tents and whatnot, or if they tend to be sharing with anyone.
You'll notice that they have like a decent amount of supplies on their back. You'll see a small like tent kind of on each of their backs underneath their backpacks, and they'll just give you like a nod and say, "Yes, Lady Cryptilia, we're quite prepared for this journey. And under order of Lord Exarch, we are to make sure that this goes off without any issue whatsoever." And then they both give you a bit of a salute, nodding their heads in almost unison as they both begin helping prepare the campsite. So at this point, we know what Adachi, Crix, Cryptilia are doing, the orders, and then the others. I need a survival check from everybody. Varric and May, can you roll yours at advantage, though? Because you will have the assistance of your companions, of course. The campsite goes off with no issue. Nice!
Should I just roll another one?
Yeah,
Wow.
just roll another one. I don't... That's not... I don't think that's coded correctly.
All right. Well, hey, you shut up. Both of y'all shut up.
What was it, control click or something?
Shift click for advantage.
Shift click. Oh, okay.
Okay. So... Good. Okay. So... Needing to go off a bit, like, just a little bit farther than you may have, like, anticipate, it does take a bit for you to find some sort of game to come across during your hunting expedition. But you do come across a what appears to be a white-haired fox. And while it's still pretty decent size, it doesn't seem to be anything that is going to be sustainable for the entire camp, but perhaps a decent meal for your new friends.
Wonderful.
But each of you can get that with no problem. But quickly see that both of your panthers just quickly devour the fox after one of you kind of pierces it with an arrow and then wounds it enough for the two panthers to close the gap and then complete the kill. For the rest of you back at camp setting up the tents and all that good stuff, you will find that it is a little bit more difficult to gather wood in order to produce a decent campfire, but you're able to get enough that you know will last you through the night. While it may not be as much warmth as the previous one that you have built, it will suffice. Especially with the weather endurance and like the kind of weather protection from your tents and clothing, all that good stuff. But as each of you get that completed, it will take you about 45 minutes to get everything fully done, and it will take May and Varric roughly about an hour to an hour and a half to get back from their hunt. So if there's anything specific before they get back, I'll let you four decide, and then we'll move on.
Yeah. If by the time we finish setting up tents and camp, if we don't have a surplus of wood, I'll go and get some more.
So, like I said, it would be enough to get you through the night, but if you want anything extra, then it's totally your call to, add
Yeah.
in that extra time,
I would
especially
like
with
to add
May
that.
and Varric not returning yet.
Yeah, because there's nothing to like cook yet, so I'd rather just go ahead and spend some extra time getting more wood.
Adashi would like to talk to just all in for a second. Because I think he's still setting up camp, right? Is that wrong?
Yeah, putting up tents, setting fire, collecting wood,
Yep.
pitching in.
So just all in, you'll see Adashi approach you, and he'll say, just all in, may I have a word?
Look a bit skeptical, but I say, sure, brother, what is it?
Lord Virik explained to me last night that, how do I say this? That both your emotional state and your bloodline are both weak due to your human ancestry. So I just wanted to apologize for any insult or harm I might have caused you. I saw today how you rushed to Lord Viric's side, and I just wanted to say that I know that you are obviously loyal to the family and willing to serve Lord Viric and his siblings to your dying breath. So I thank you for that, and I apologize for any ill will I may have caused or any dishonor I may have brought on Lord Viric's house. And he'll give you like not a full bow, but like most of a bow.
I appreciate your words, brother. But one thing I want to make clear is I wouldn't say that I'm weak or my characteristics are weak, but perhaps more sensitive. But you must remember to be sensitive is also to be cautious and perceptive. So I like to think of my difference compared to my other siblings as being something that could be beneficial. And perhaps one day I'll be able to prove that to all of you. But again, I accept your words, brother. Let's move forward.
Sure, sensitive. Okay, I'll do some thinking on that. Thank you for your wisdom, just all in. And then he'll go back to putting up tents.
Okay, Cryptilli does another 30 minutes to an hour. Got that. Anything else for you four before May and Varric make their way back?
I think Adashi would try his hand. I don't think we said anyone was cooking. So if once we have a fire set up,
There's nothing
Adashi.
to cook yet. That was the.
Oh, okay. We don't. We only have rations, I guess, with
Correct.
us, right? Like we don't need to cook those. Okay, never mind.
All prepared meals, good to go. No heating
Gotcha,
required.
Perfect. Some good like MRE kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a thing, right, Trevor?
Yeah, those are fucking gross.
Yes, they are.
Yep.
They gave them to us in high school one time for JROTC. They were like, here, and like there was only one person that liked it, and everyone else thought they were crazy.
But some of them come with Skittles, so there's that.
Damn.
Well,
But like we're elves though, right? So is it like in Lord of the Rings where you had that like what was it, like the limbus bread or something? Or it's like it's just like a little cracker we eat and we're full?
I
Or
didn't
is
really
it...
had that.
This ain't Lord of the Rings.
so
Limbus bread is dope.
as each of you finish, setting up the campsite, Cryptilli grabbing some extra wood to make sure that the campfire can be a little bit more of a heat provider through the night. You will all see and hear May and Varric arriving back just about after 45 minutes roughly after everything is completed with the camp, and about 15 minutes after Cryptilli gets done collecting the extra wood.
So how was your hunt?
I mean, this is an especially barren spot that we're in. So, looks like we're eating rations tonight.
Well, we have been provided extra for each of you, if that is okay with you.
Lovely, thank you.
I
And
was
I said,
hoping Lord Exart would come through.
Well, from what he's said to us, he does view each of you as practically his own children, since he doesn't have any of his own. But he just wishes for the best of luck for each of you in order to find a name for yourselves and venture forth. It must be difficult with having so many siblings. I'm not sure. I am a lone child myself, as they begin passing out rations to each of you. But as the fire begins to crackle, adding a bit more wood to it, and in order to build up a bit of heat, your watch order will need to commence. So if I am not mistaken, Adashi and Varric are first, then Crix and Kreptili, then May and just Stalin. Or is there any indication on where you'd like the guards to have their watch?
If it's
I
enough
would
for-
say just go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if there is enough. I think we have 3 guards with us. If,
Just 2.
oh, just 2. Well, I don't mind either way.
I would say the beginning and the end, but I mean that's just me.
That was my initial thought too. Is the beginning and the end.
So yeah, beginning and end, everybody's with it.
are we splitting them up? Because the rest of us are doing watch in in pairs.
Yeah, so they'll just join the first watch and then the third watch.
So this is just an idea. Technically, we could cut it into 4 and people could get longer sleep.
That is a great suggestion. The only thing is that the only actual person that this is really applying to is just Stalin. All the rest of you just basically
the
need to
rest.
transfer the 4 hours and then do light activity for your remaining 4. Just Stalin is the only one in the group that is not benefiting from this.
Oh, well, it's easy. I'll take one of the guards with me instead of just Stalin, and you can get your rest, brother.
I'm all for the rest, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, and let's add an additional guard to the first watch.
Yeah, let the human rest.
Now, just Stalin can still achieve his short rest with like the watch order that you have set, like that was set previously, let's say. But it's just like you all have basically more active time than he does, but only by 2 hours. It's a racial bonus that they get, that I am comparing it to, just so you know, just Stalin.
Yeah, I read about it.
Okay. I figured you knew, but I just wanted to be double check. So for the first watch order with Adashi and Varric and the added guard, can you all give me a perception check for your watch?
Wow.
Oh.
Yo, it seems like we suck at this.
So the guard will give you all like a bit of a sigh of relief as you notice that he seems to be scanning the environment quite intently during his watch, and with no reports being made, only the wind whipping about as it kind of makes the temp flaps just batter a bit here and there before resting down into their just normal positions. Your night is very relaxing and uneventful. Or your watch, I'll say, not your night.
In the last 20 minutes of the watch, Adashi's going to cast ritual cast alarm around the camp, and then he's also going to ritual cast unseen servant, so an invisible servant for the like first hour of the next watch will kind of be like just manning the fire and making sure like it stays lit.
Well, other than Varric and the guard noticing this, are you going to let anyone else know?
Yeah, Adachi might. I forget he was up next, but Adachi will mention it to whoever.
It'll be Crix and Cryptilli.
Okay, so yeah, I guess as Crix and Cryptilli come out, Adachi will just say, I believe I've set a ward around the area, so if you hear a bell, it means you've probably missed something and somebody's joining the camp. And by the way, I think I've been trying out this new thing. I think I have an invisible person kind of keeping the fire going. And like as they look over, there's like randomly like wood being lifted off the ground and like put down on the fire. Yeah. Good night.
I'll look
Good night, brother.
Crick's kind of creeped out, but very interested.
Adashi's a strange one, isn't he?
Very much so.
Well, let's begin our watch.
All right. Okay, Cryptilli's already rolled his. He knew it was coming. Crix, can you give me your perception check?
Oh.
And just as I was stating before, the wind kind of whipping, you'll feel a bit of relief knowing that it's getting a bit later in the night and just feeling that normal cold like setting in. But nothing like when the blizzard was beginning to approach a few nights before. Just the snow falling a tad bit heavier as it gets into the night.
While we're doing watch, I'll see if Crix wants to play a game of chess.
Sure, I'm always up for a game.
Okay, well, for a game of chess, as long as you all have the equipment, the only thing I need from both of you is an intelligence check. A straight intelligence roll. So I don't think that your save is different.
Oh, I rolled a save. I didn't mean to roll a save. But it shouldn't be different.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it's not. So, within roughly 7 to 10 moves, you, Crix, find yourself in a winning position, and checkmate is found against Cryptilli.
Checkmate, Cryptilli.
I'll mutter some obscenities to myself.
I was about to say, no way Cryptilli's like a good sport.
Not at all.
Crix will be a little smug in winning. Just a little bit, though.
And I'll say, we'll do the same thing tomorrow.
I'm sure you'll win next time.
All right, and then the third. So, just Stalin, if you don't want to get your extra hours of sleep, that's totally up to you. If mechanically, it means nothing. It's just RP aspect at this point. But if you're going to be joining on the watch, then I will need a perception check from all of you.
Oh, as we're passing by and they're coming out, I'm just going to let them know that there's the alarm spell, and there may or may not be an invisible man tending the fire, and then go into no more detail about that.
May just like, I think May and the Panther just kind of like stare at the fire, looking confused. Clearly, since I rolled such a low perception check, I'm distracted.
Fire's
Hopefully I
haunted.
couldn't sleep. I'm up.
I think the Unseen Servant's just an hour, right, Adachi?
It's only an hour, but like it's invisible, so you guys wouldn't. I mean, you would just notice that maybe you stop hearing the fire be stoked after an hour.
Yeah, that would have happened during the second watch. Like, just the beginning, you'd see, like, little bits of, like, the wood that you've gathered, like, making its way towards it, just floating in the air. And through your watch, May and Justalin, no alarm goes off. The fire, you know, still having enough fuel to make its way through the night. And you all find the night to be uneventful. So, as we near the end of the third watch and the sun begins to peek over the eastern horizon, just over the sea, you can see the little remnants of Exarch Stronghold from atop this, like, little bit of a hill off to your east, and then the vast ocean that lays beyond it. To your west, just down the hill, roughly what you assume to be a half a day from trudging through the snow, you see the tree line. Varric, can you roll me 3d6 again, please?
Yeah, give me. There we go.
So I will move you all to there as you see the sun making its way towards like high noon, roughly towards what you would assume to be 1:30 in the afternoon. The tree line off in the distance, you see a little bit of a break in the trees. As you make your way up, almost a half moon seems to be carved out from this tree line that almost appears to run like right in a line with another, like one another trees. Only this in particular area is just carved out just slightly. As each of you make your way, trudging through the snow a bit closer, you see 3 paths.
So this may be a little late to bring up, but I do have a natural explorer feature for Ranger, and Arctic is my favorite terrain. And part of it, it says while tracking other creatures, you also learn their exact number, their sizes, and how long ago they passed through the area. Would that apply in this sense? Would I be able to like investigate and see if I can track
Yeah,
the bandit.
it'll give you like a nice little advantage for that in particular thing. What I've gone ahead and done is made this area where I'm pinging available if all of you would like to add your respective tokens, including your what I will add is the guards for you, and then you can add your kitties.
Ah.
So as each of you are gathered, what I will do is just get you like off to the northwest. You see one path leading that way, one directly north, and one to the northeast.
I think Adachi would suggest perhaps we can send our companions here down the path and see if they find anything. There's, we have 3 animal friends here, perhaps in 3 paths.
Little
Well-
May also go down a path by herself.
Oh, yes, just Little May is plenty brave. And
Well,
telepathically, he's talking to Little May and is like, "This is our chance. This is our chance to prove to Lord Vieric that we deserve to be his by his side, not some wild beast."
well, Little May is also not. I mean, she's an animal companion, and that's wonderful. But she's also not. How do I put this? A corporeal form. Nothing bad can really happen to her. Whereas our new friends here are just real flesh and blood animals.
Lady May, if I am understanding you correctly, perhaps Little May here should do all of the scouting then.
Sure. And I would like to investigate to see if I can find out who's been through here.
Yeah, so DM Adachi would send Little May, I guess, 120 feet down each path, because that's the range where I can still kind of speak telepathically with it. And it's got a movement speed of 60 feet, so that should be like however long it needs to be. But like if it was just a straight fly there and back, that would be like 12 seconds each path, I think, if the owl took a dash.
Roughly.
But like obviously if you're looking for stuff, you'd have to spend more time, I think, than that.
Yeah, so it'll take you roughly just like a minute to 2 minutes to have a Little May go up and down each area. So can you go ahead and give me 3 perception checks? You can give me. Let me know which area you're going down first, and give me a perception check for that one.
We're gonna start on the left path.
And May, you said you were looking for like tracks and things of that nature. So can you go ahead and give me a survival check at advantage?
Yeah, I would like to do one of those as well. Without advantage, I'm guessing. With the middle path.
Yep, that's great, Jason. Go ahead and give me the survival check, like you said, at non-advantage. So, Little May,
21.
You will see nothing along the path. I mean, other than the tree line, kind of like given that like the path is being formed from. And other than that, once it gets to the end, you'll just see like a clearing. As it kind of wraps around, you'll see a long path that runs from its eastern direction, a path ahead of you that goes north, and I'll just reveal a bit more of the map. May, as you check, you see a pretty decent amount of footprints going through this path. Just all in, you see what appears to be 3 to 4 sets of footprints in this area.
The middle path, you said?
Yeah, for just all in the middle path.
Just all in share that information.
I'll whisper, or I'll say to the group, this clearly is the path most of the humans take, or the people take. Like, point towards the northwest passage.
Northwest.
Can Adachi roll really quickly for the other 2 paths?
Yeah, but from the amount that like they'll have to take to like be looking for footprints, that you can roll for the other ones. Be slightly harder to find when you're looking for like potentially freshly covered tracks.
So that would be a 23 for the middle path, but then a big ol' 8 for the right path.
So down the middle path, you'll notice that there seems to be quite a bit of outplaced snow down the path, like mounds that seem to be unnaturally formed. Down the east path, northeast path, looks all clear.
Adachi will kind of whisper to the group and say, a little May spotted some unnatural mounds of snow in the middle path. It could be some sort of trap or a creature lurking in the snow. I could, go ahead and, use my fire magic to try to melt it and see what's under there. Or perhaps we just avoid it altogether. I don't know how you would like to proceed, Lord Vieric.
If you think that there's a creature afoot, perhaps it's best that if we take the lead.
Yes, we'll send the guards ahead.
But maybe it's a trap. Maybe use your arrows to keep your distance and see if the mounds react.
You can always pick the arrows back up.
Could Adachi have May kind of like laying in a tree and kind of like signal where the first mound is, like the closest one to us?
Yes, the first mound is right about here.
Adachi will say, save your arrows. Allow me. He'll look to Vieric just to make sure Vieric's okay. And then if Vieric gets in the signal, he'll shoot a firebolt at that mound right there.
Go ahead, Adachi.
So I do that.
And
to roll an attack.
As you do, the firebolt comes out, and as it hits the pile, some of the snow begins to melt, and as it does, the rest will fall away, and you will see a pit that lines the path.
Gasp. A trap!
Good shot, Adachi.
Good work, little brother.
Thank you, Lord Crix. I suggest we proceed with caution. It seems they might be prepared for it. We go to the northwest.
Perhaps we should go to the east.
It doesn't hurt to check it out.
And apparently, seeing tracks is a bad idea to follow.
Yeah, I agree with Stalin. Let's try the northeast.
Could I, knowing that like the mound was a trap, could Adachi send Little May on the northeast path again, like a little bit slower, and see if like she notices any other like similar kind of mounds of snow? Or is that like
I'm gonna have
she
to
already
say
rolled a
like
check? So
that's gonna like a reroll thing usually takes what I say like kind of like what you said as well, like going a bit slower, taking the extra time. It will take a bit of extra time. Like for just an example, if you were to try to like pick a lock and find it unsuccessful, but if you were to try again, like you have to try again like an hour later.
Can I do a perception check on this route just to see what I think of it?
Sure.
Not much.
Looks good. And just so you know, like that's to kind of like defeat like knowing what your role is, unless you want to spend the time.
Yeah, no, that's 100% fair. I just wasn't sure like what the new information, how that, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I agree. It never hurts to ask, because if you don't ask, then you'll never know.
Yep.
I also try to do perception check. If that's okay.
The path looks fine to me. No need to investigate.
Perhaps you should walk first, brother.
I will gladly take the lead.
I was gonna say with my nice chain mail heavy armor, I'm gonna attempt to stealth down this path.
Oh, really?
I think we should at least approach quietly.
Okay, so whoever's taking the lead, go for it.
I say we let Creep Tilly take the lead.
Fair enough.
Yep, as I'm going down, I'm just checking the path for anything that looks abnormal.
Okay.
But I'm
go ahead and roll me an investigation check.
Oops. I forgot to take it off of disadvantage.
Okay. You will see before you a bit of piled up snow.
This might be worth checking out. Give me a moment. Now, I guess I'll just stab the piled up snow.
Don't cold touch it. That's not gonna do much.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. We're all I'll act.
Make a bigger pile.
So
wants to shoot another firebolt at it.
Wait.
What's the call then? Are you gonna stab it, or are you gonna have him shoot it?
Have Adachi shoot it.
Yeah, I'll just
Yes, Lord
stab it.
Oh, okay.
This fucking guy.
Adachi gets his moment. Oh
Well,
my god.
As Varric commands to have Adachi shoot the pile and find any sort of path that may have been tampered with, Cryptili, hearing the command, takes a bit of offense while she's at the lead and then turns, stabs forward, and as you do, Cryptili, the snow falls, revealing another large pit.
See what happens?
What if we simply start yelling, a couple of us, Maybe we can surprise whoever is setting this trap with a trap of our own.
Or how about we just try to find the people that set the trap without yelling?
I have to agree with Varric on this one. I would rather find them than have them find us.
Look at our resources, brother. We have animals to help us.
Are you addressing Creep Tilly that way?
Damn right I am. And yeah, I
Um,
know.
As he says brother to me, I'm going to look at him with a very cold, sharp look. And I'm going to let him walk in front of me. And I'm not attempt to push him into the pit, but I'm going to attempt to push him down near it.
And then my panther jumps up and defends me.
Yeah.
Well, what I will say is, just so that everyone's aware, where like the path like has like these trees, it will cause like, you know, a bit of hindrance to like move through it. It is possible.
To the east. Like,
Yes, like kind of like going through like a bit of like a tight path like here and there.
okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, exactly, Crix. Other than that, what I do think is with the cold glare that Creptilli gives Varric after those comments is a good place to call it.
Oh, I got so wrapped up I didn't even realize what time it was.
Same.
Oh crap! Do we have notes for this? Like, oh yeah, you're on.
Yeah, it's pinned in the doc. It's pinned in our Discord chat. The note stuff is pinned in there.
Yeah, I see the doc.
So,
Nice.
with wrapping up the end of tonight, as each of you have found a bit of like a cutout path that seems to be layered with traps and from these two pits that you've found. We'll see what each of you get into next week, but if there's anything that you'd like to share, anything of that sort before we get out of here, feel free to do so.
No, good session. Anybody want to see me push my brother into this pit? Let us know.
Don't do it.
Good luck with my panther right there.
For the record, how
from
deep?
what you were
how
asking,
deep is the
Varric,
pit?
to answer your question, I don't remember reading anything that says that you communicate with it telepathically. It is legitimately like a real creature, so it has like no magical capabilities. It's more of just like a
Pet?
bond in a pet. Yeah. So like
Okay.
that's why like training it and feeding it is pretty important because it's a real thing. And you know,
Alright,
I
makes
say
sense.
that I use that term loosely because we're playing D&D.
Nah, I get it. It makes sense.
For the record, how deep is the pit? Like, do we have a sense standing by it?
They're rough. This one's roughly about 10 to 15 foot deep.
Oh, that's not too bad. Myself as the player wouldn't mind seeing Vieric get pushed in the pit.
Hey, cut it out.
Adachi would be like aghast and like it would be shocked and dismayed.
You'd have to go down with me, because that's how that works.
He'd push Cryptilli in the pit with his +0 to strength.
Well, like I say,
Or did Cryptilli push Varric? Yeah, who pushed who? I thought Cryptilli pushed Varric.
We'll get
Then
into
the
that
panther
next
jumps up.
time because that's
We're gonna
good.
get it next time.
Yeah, we'll start off with that, like seeing like what happens. Cryptilli having her like plans and her, I guess her own emotions going on after that comment. we'll see kind of like what gets into, because obviously that was like more inner dialogue.
Oh, that's good.
But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed tonight. I hope everyone that stopped by had a good time as well. You can find all the affiliates up in the top left. All the links for everything down below. Discord channel is Naruto doing hip hop beats. Feel free to join us. You can get a decent community growing and have, well, a lot more world input, because that is pretty much what the players are doing, is creating their path and kind of their own thing in the world as they've developed their characters. So with that, I hope to see the rest of you through the week, and for all the players and each of you, I hope you have a good week. If I don't see you all otherwise, and until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
See you
Thanks
guys.
for our cats.
Bye.
Yes.